In front of me, I have a small part of my dupe fragrance collection. This isn't even every dupe fragrance that I own. This is just a small part of it. And in this video, I'm going to tell you which dupe fragrances you should buy and which dupe fragrances I think are perfect 10 out of 10 and straight up identical to the original. Now, the fragrances I'm going to be talking about today are strictly the best dupe fragrances. These are going to be fragrances that I think are identical to the original. I'm going to be judging them on how close they are to the original, the performance, and the value for money. These are not going to be my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances, but if you want me to make a video on my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances, then let me know in the comments below. Anyways, let's get started with the first dupe fragrance or Middle Eastern fragrance that I think is identical and one-to-one, and that is Latafa's Liam Gray. Now, this surprised the hell out of me because I wasn't expecting much. I picked this fragrance up at a department store for around 30 Canadian dollars, which is around 20 to 25 USD. So very, very cheap. And I didn't expect this fragrance to be this good. This is a dupe of BDK's Gris Charnel, and it is a very, very good dupe. Now, I used to own a bottle of Gris Charnel, and I absolutely loved it. I used to own the Extrait version. Absolutely loved it. It ran through my bottle, and I didn't want to shell out the money for another bottle because it was very, very expensive. So I thought I'd give this a try, and I'm honestly glad I did because, like I said, this stuff surprised me. As soon as you spray this fragrance, you get a hit of the spices and mainly the cardamom in this fragrance. It is very, very spicy in the opening, but it is very beautifully balanced by the vanilla in the background of this fragrance. This stuff smells like straight up chai latte in a bottle. Very sexy, very spicy, very masculine, in my opinion. Now, is this a dupe of BDK Gris Chanel EDP or the Extrait? For me, it is perfectly in the middle, which is absolutely perfect for me because I used to think the Extrait was too spicy, but I also thought the EDP was too soft and a little bit more feminine leaning. And this one got it just right in between. It's spicy, but not too spicy. It's not too feminine. It's perfectly in the middle between those two fragrances. And it's just one of those fragrances that is so addicting. It's spicy, but still has a cozy aspect to it, something that is perfect for the colder weather and perfect for the winter time. So if you're looking for a cheap winter fragrance, then definitely check out Latafa Liam Gray. Trust me, you're not gonna regret it. In terms of performance, the stuff's pretty good. It's not as good as the Extrait, but it's not as weak as the EDP. Again, it's perfectly in the middle. I get a good 6 to 7 hours, and because this thing is spicy, it projects really loudly, so you don't need to worry about people not smelling your fragrance. So yeah, first one that I think is identical to the original and really, really good, Latafa Liam Gray. Moving on to the next fragrance that I think is absolutely identical to the original, and that's Afnan's Turathi Electric. Take a second and look at the bottle. It got like a rainbow iridescent shine to it. Absolutely beautiful. But that's not the best part about this fragrance. It's definitely the juice inside because trust me, this stuff is identical. I think that this honestly might be the fragrance dupe release of the year because I've been loving this one. Now, this is a dupe of Ex Nihilo's Blue Talisman, which is a fragrance that I own and I absolutely love. So why did I buy the dupe fragrance? Well, because this stuff is very, very expensive. But I knew the moment I bought this fragrance, I was gonna love it and that I was gonna wear it a lot in summer. And I did. And I already put a dent in it. And as soon as I saw that I put a dent in this fragrance, I was like, hold on, slow down, man. We need a dupe for this stuff because this stuff is way too expensive to be wearing daily, especially with the amount of sprays that you need to wear this stuff in the summer. It wasn't gonna happen for me. This stuff costs more than $200 for a 50 ml like this, and I was sure as hell not going to run through this stuff in one summer. So I bought a dupe in order to slow down my consumption or my use of this fragrance, and it's worked because I'm not gonna lie, this stuff does the job perfectly fine, and it kind of makes me feel salty and a little bit sad that I bought the original because of how close this one actually is. And if you don't know what this stuff smells like, it is a modern man's blue fragrance. It's fruity, it's sweet, it's musky, and it can be easily worn as an everyday scent or as a signature scent. If you were to force me to find a difference between these two fragrances, I'd have to say that I find Turathi Electric to be a little bit sweeter and a little bit more soapy than the original. But honestly, that adds to the dupe because I find it a little bit easier to wear and a little bit more mass appealing. But still, both these fragrances are like 90 to 95% similar. Honestly, a little bit salty that I paid that much money for the original because of how close this one was. But hey, at the end of the day, I'm not complaining. I love both of these fragrances. I use both of these fragrances. And in terms of performance, both of these fragrances are really good, really similar in the performance department. You get a good 6 to 7 hours of performance with each one of these. Now, moving on to the third fragrance that I want to talk about, and that's French Avenue's Aether Extrait. And this is going to be the first fragrance that I think is better than the original in every department. This stuff is supposed to be a clone of Parfums Marley's Greenly, and I think it's better than Greenly in every department from the smell to the value to the performance. This stuff is better in every way. In terms of smell, it's really similar to the Greenly DNA, but the difference I find that this one focuses a lot more on that beautiful, crisp green apple note. Whereas Parfums de Marly's Greenly has a little bit more focus on the mossy notes, which I really did not like in that fragrance. So in terms of smell, I really prefer this one, but I still think they are 90 to 95% similar. They still have a lot of the same characteristics. They both still have apple and moss as their main notes or main accords, but this one focuses a little bit more on the apple note and Greenleaf focuses a little bit more on the mossy notes. And if you ask me, the focus on the apple note is better. It makes the fragrance fresher, easier to wear, and a lot more versatile. Now, in terms of performance, I really can't speak to the performance of Greenleaf, so if one of you knows how strong or how long lasting Greenleaf is, let us know in the comments. But Aether Extrait lasts a good 7 to 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours out of a fresh fragrance. That's almost unheard of for even niche fragrances or designer fragrances. So to get that from a fragrance that costs a fraction of the original, a fragrance that's cheaper than most fragrances out there is absolutely insane. And as a nice bonus, you get a really, really nice atomizer with this thing. So yeah, French Avenue, Aether Extrait, if you want to dupe for Parfums Marly Greenly, or if you just want a fresh apple fragrance that you could wear anywhere at any time, to the gym, outside, casually, wherever, whenever, this stuff has got you covered. Moving on now to another fragrance that is absolutely identical to the original. That is Zamaya's Tiramisu Cocoa. Now, in all transparency, this fragrance was sent to me from Zamaya, but with no obligation to post. They didn't pay me. They just sent me this fragrance and said, if you like it, make a video on it. So I'm here making a video on it because I absolutely love the smell of this one. Now, this is a clone of Mancera's Amor Cafe, and it is a darn good one. When they sent this stuff out, I haven't tried the original Amor Cafe, and I just remember really liking this fragrance. So I ordered a decant of Amor Cafe, and I tried it out, and I was shocked by how close and how similar this stuff is to the original. This is a very sweet coffee vanilla fragrance. It is so addictive, so cozy. I just absolutely love the DNA. I will say the opening of this fragrance is just a little bit sharper than Amor Cafe, but trust me, let this stuff dry down because once it dries down, it is just identical. It is so good. I can't speak to the performance of Amor Cafe. I don't know if it's stronger, but this one lasts a good 6 to 7 hours for me. And it's just one of those scents that's just, again, super, super addictive, super cozy, perfect for the winter time, perfect for dates. Just wow. This is so, so, so nice. And because of how good and how close this fragrance is to the original, I really saw no need for me to buy the original, even though Mancera Amor Cafe is technically a budget niche fragrance. They're not that expensive. They cost around $100, but I just saw no need for me to buy out and shell out the money for that fragrance because of how close this stuff is to that fragrance. So yeah, Zamaya really cooked with this one. Again, they sent me the bottle, but I had no obligation to post. I don't have to make this post. I'm doing this out of my own free will because this is honestly a good product and provides a lot of value for the money. Wow, just a banger fragrance, 10 out of 10. I'm actually going to wear this stuff because of how good it smells. All right, now moving on to number five, which is the second fragrance from French Avenue that we're going to talk about. And again, it is a dupe of a Parfums de Marly fragrance, and that's Liquid Brun, which is duping Parfums de Marly's Alfer. Now, this is probably the most popular fragrance from the ones in front of me. This is the most known one, probably, and for good reason, and that's because this is just genuinely one to one. And it is honestly a joke how close this stuff is to the original. And I used to own a bottle of Parfums de Marly's Alfer. I absolutely loved that fragrance until my friend came along and gave me his bottle of Liquid Brun to try out. And I put both of the fragrances on my hand, one on each hand, and I genuinely could not tell the difference between these two fragrances. Just ridiculously close. We're going to give this one a spray as well. And how can you not like this fragrance? It's very, very easy to like, very mass appealing. Opens up with some orange blossoms mixed in with like a very addictive vanilla scent. And they really, really nailed the vanilla scent. They really captured the essence of Parfums de Marly's Alfer and that very creamy, addictive vanilla that everyone loves from the house of Parfums de Marly. I don't have to talk much more about this fragrance because I'm sure you guys have seen hundreds of reviews online on this fragrance. They're not joking. This stuff is worth the hype. You should definitely buy it. And I bought this fragrance with my own money and I sold my bottle of Parfums de Marly's Alfer because I thought it would be too redundant to own both of these fragrances. So yeah, Liquid Brun, Definitely a dupe, a 100% copy of Parfums de Mali's Affair. Number six on the list is another fragrance that was sent to me, but again, no obligation to post. This was just a gifted product from the brand, and because of how much I loved it, I really wanted to talk about it, and that's Game of Spades Wildcard. And this fragrance is a dupe to none other than Bond Number Nine's Lafayette Street, which is one of my favorite easy to wear fresh fragrances. And I'm not even joking, because if I had to get rid of all my fragrances that you see behind me and only keep one, this would definitely be in the running up, because it is such a perfect, easy to wear fresh fragrance. It has some apple with a vanillic background, but nothing too sweet. Just the perfect fougere fragrance, in my opinion. Absolutely love this one. And this dupe got identical to this fragrance, which really, really hurt me, because I paid a crap ton of money for this fragrance. So when I tried this dupe and it was identical, I was shattered. I was in disbelief. I was in shock. And I honestly felt a little bit of regret for not trying this fragrance out before buying Lafayette Street, because yeah, just they're literally identical. And when I made a video comparing these two fragrances, a lot of people actually ended up telling me that Lafayette Street by Bond Number Nine was actually a clone fragrance of this fragrance right here called Sculpture by Nikos. This is a very old fragrance, and apparently Bond Number Nine duped that fragrance and released Lafayette Street. So if you're looking for another dupe fragrance for this fragrance, which apparently is identical, check out Sculpture. Now, I didn't buy Sculpture because it is a cologne and not an EDP, and I was worried about the performance and the projection of that fragrance. So I'm really happy I got my hands on Games of Spades Wildcard, because this is an Extrait de Parfum, and not only did it capture this scent almost identically or almost 100%, it performs a lot better than Lafayette Street. I get 5 to 6 hours out of Lafayette Street on a good day, but out of Wildcard, I get an easy 8 to 9 hours. This stuff lasts me all day. And honestly, even though I'm really salty about the fact that I spent $300 on this fragrance, I now know I could probably sell this fragrance, make some of my money back, and still have that sort of DNA with Wildcard. And that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to sell this fragrance and keep this one, because I really don't need both of these fragrances. And now that I have the dupe, I could really wear this one and not feel guilty about the fact that I'm spraying a $300 fragrance almost every single day and just drowning myself in it, because like I said, I absolutely love this sort of DNA. Next, another fragrance that almost everybody knows about, and that's Afnan's 9 p.m. Now, everybody knows what this stuff is a dupe of. This is a dupe of Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. It is a very popular, very hyped up fragrance, and the reason why it's so hyped up and so popular is, again, because this stuff is really, really good. Some even say this is better than the original. I know for sure this stuff lasts longer and is stronger than the original. It's a sweet, bubblegummy type of scent with some vanilla. Perfect for like parties, for nights out, for hanging out with your boys. If you want a fragrance that's just easy to wear, sweet, and definitely pulls in compliments, then check out 9 p.m. And finally, the last fragrance that I think is identical to the original and saved me hundreds of dollars is Assaf's Gris Eric. Now, a lot of you may not be familiar with this brand or this fragrance in general, but this is a very, very popular fragrance in the Middle East, and this stuff is a dupe to Dior's Gris Dior. And not only have Assaf created an identical fragrance to Gris Dior, they hired the same perfumer that made Gris Dior for their company to come in and make this fragrance, so you know this stuff is legit. I have been dying to add Gris Dior to my collection, but it is so, so expensive. It is a private line fragrance from Dior, so it costs a lot of money. But this is one of the best rose patchouli scents on the market. It's easy to wear, very mass appealing. I absolutely love the smell. And Gris Eric by Assaf has nailed that smell. It's identical. And you really don't need to buy the original when you have this stuff, because for nearly an eighth of the price, you get this giant 200 ml fragrance that's identical in smell, that's perfumed by the same guy, and just basically gives you Gris Dior for cheap. And it just smells so good, so easy to wear, whether you're a man or a woman. I think this is perfectly unisex. I do think that it may lean a little bit feminine, but that's no problem at all for me. I absolutely love the smell. And just take a second to look at this atomizer. That is a freaking shower. And the performance on this one, again, is really, really good. Even better than the original Gris Dior. It's not better than the Esprit de Parfum, which I heard lasts an absurd amount of time. This one is a good 6 or 7 hour scent. So if you're looking for Gris Dior for cheap, then definitely check out Assaf and get their version, which is called Gris Eric. And that was the end, guys. Those were the 7 fragrances that I think are absolutely identical to the original. Like I said at the beginning of the video, these were not my favorite dupe fragrances or were not my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances. So if you want me to make a video on my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances that may or may not be dupes, then let me know in the comments and I'll be glad to make that video for you guys. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed and I'll catch you guys in the next video.